lots of women are still under the covering of a man. They're still, they got their financial come up through a man, which I don't judge at all, but I would say definitely proceed with caution. I would say, okay, you want my unfiltered advice? Anything that is exclusively for women, any type of like women's network or women event, don't bother at all. They are basically only there to try and extract money from you. And they use these events as this shiny little, beacon that, oh, you can go and have an excuse to dress up, get all dolled up, and you'll meet other like-minded women. It's a networking opportunity, but no, it's not. It's actually just a way for them to create another revenue stream for themselves. Because think about it too. There was a video I watched once where they showed a statistic about how most self-made women, like most entrepreneurial women, I don't remember the percentage, but a large percentage of them actually are backed financially by a man. Their first investor or their main investor is usually a man, usually their husband, or even if they did everything strictly through business avenues, it's still the majority of investors, like the majority of dollars and investment money in this world is still in the possession of men. So chances are that like most self-made women entrepreneurs / CEOs, if you look at their history, you can trace their come up, so to speak, or like their big break back to a man, right? Which is not inherently bad in and of itself. Like that's what we should all be doing. But the problem comes where they present themselves, after they get their little PR origin story together, they're never going to come out and be like, oh, hey, actually 99% of my success or 90% of my success was attributed to the boost that my husband gave me financially. Like my husband gave me $50,000 to make my own company. So that's the only reason I was able to open this company in the first place. They're never going to present it like that. They always say that, oh, I noticed that there was a gap in the market, or like I noticed that women were always missing this one thing, or they were always struggling this one thing. So that's how I got this brainchild, this genius idea to start this company. And now look, 5 years later, after grinding and bootstrapping it, now we are a $1 billion evaluated company. They always leave out that part. Like you never know, okay? Unless you do some deep digging and research by yourself, you're never going to know the full story because they're not going to show their hand completely to you. So that's why I say it's not because like I favor men over women, God no, but at least if you just deal mostly with men, if you're finagling money from a man or trying to extract money from a man, at least you'll know that, you're getting it straight from the source, right? For better or worse. It's not to say that the man is like inherently better than the woman. I mean, like if it was up to me, of course, I would rather just network with women. But the problem is that we are still living in a very unbalanced system, right? Think about it also from the standpoint of like a billionaire woman CEO of her own company, and she's married to a man who is an even bigger billionaire. You might say that, okay, well, regardless of whether she got her start or she got her venture capital from a man, now she's successful, right? Like now the company has her company has legs and she's a billionaire. But do you think that she's going to actually willingly share a slice of that pie with you just because you showed up to one of her performative brunches that she holds? Hell no. She's like doing everything in her power to make sure that she can keep her whale and his resources all to herself, right? To the point where a lot of these women, like, yeah, they might have given up a long time ago on the actual romance relationship part of the deal, but it's a business deal for them when you get to that level of wealth. The problem is that they will use a man's money to exploit women out of their money when they should be taking money from men. Exactly. Oh my God. We need to have a collaboration, Study in Venus. I'm paying for your membership with my men's card. Yes, girl. I expected nothing less from you. Thank you, Study in Venus. You worded it perfectly. Sorry. I feel like my throat chakra is blocked or something. I'm not able to get everything out. Sometimes I really get into like a flow state, and then other times I stumble all over the place. Usually when I feel that it's something that could potentially be really triggering to a lot of women who don't get it, they're not at this level of comprehension yet. I'm like, can I just only cater to the women that are ready to go on this journey with me? Like everyone else females, no offense, but when you get here, you can join us on the ship. But like, if you're still swimming down there in 50-50 male-centered land, I'm sorry, like I can't, if I go down to try and save you, you'll pull me down as well. It's crabs in a bucket. So we're not in a place of power enough to rely on just women's empowerment. Exactly. And that's just the reality of the place we are right now in the game. But you can't say this in like normie circles, right? Because then they'll immediately judge you and be like, oh, well, she's not a girl's girl. She's male-centered. Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, I want to go back. Sorry, I want to touch more in depth on your point. We should be taking from men and not from women. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I actually have a very, very strict code of conduct that I follow when it comes to interaction with other women. So, like, for example, when I'm going out to dinner or something with a younger woman, this is just me. Like, I'm not saying everyone has to follow this to a T, but I feel like it's not appropriate for me as a younger woman to be like splitting the bill with a woman who is 10 years my junior, right? Or just starting out on her career or something. If it's a fresh college graduate and I know that she's struggling and she wants to have lunch with me, or especially if I invite her out, like, to me, that's not appropriate. If I can't afford to pay for both of us, then I will just have to decline that invitation. So I don't believe in, like, depending on the occasion, sometimes, yes, if you go out in a group, or if it's just a casual meeting, or if it's just like a circumstantial thing, like let's say you both work at the same company and you decide to get lunch together, then yeah, of course, like we each pay our own. But like, I feel I would never let a younger woman pay for me, treat me to a meal. It's just that's not in my nature. So it goes both ways for me. Like, I am very strict about the way that I interact with other women. But I also don't play about protecting myself because I'm a single woman, right? I'm not married and I don't have a boyfriend or a sponsor at the moment, working on it. But since I'm single, I feel like, and this is for all single women out there, especially if you're like in that stage of your life trying to build your wealth and build towards some semblance of financial freedom for yourself, you should 100%, you should 2000% be your first priority. Every cent of your money should go towards yourself. And if you are in a generous spirit, right? Because I consider myself a generous person, the only people who deserve your generosity is other single women. You should never be paying. I believe that you shouldn't, if you're friends with a married woman, for example, you should not be, expected to, how do I want to word this? If you have a married woman friend, right? And like her husband is basically paying for most of her lifestyle, or even if he's not, even if they're 50-50, that was her choice. So it's still not your responsibility, right? So if you go out to dinner with a married friend, and like I've done this before, of course, I live in the real world. Like, yes, I socialize with all types of people. Sometimes they happen to be married, whatever. My point is not that I'm sitting there nickeling and diming every single interaction, but just think about it. Like, if you go out to dinner with a married woman, let's say it was $100 and you split it between the two of you because you're friends, right? So she pays $50, you pay $50. That $50 is a larger weight on your finances than it is on hers, because she has a whole man at home, either providing for her or at least providing 50%, to where like she doesn't have as much bills and rent and everything else that you have to take care of by yourself as a one woman show if you're still in, the single phase of life. So yeah, starting this year in particular, like I have completely stopped meeting up and I completely avoid getting together with married women, and also women with boyfriends too. Not you, Seti and Venus, you're special, but like women that are in normie relationships, right? Which again is 99% of people, especially in the corporate world. If I was in nightlife, which I do have friends in nightlife, but even then I lost touch, or I fell out of contact with a lot of my friends in the nightlife industry as well, because while they might not be married, most of them are not married, or they don't have steady boyfriends, but their entire livelihood is centered around getting money from men in the first place. So it's like, why would I contribute to help lessen their load or their burden? You understand? I've had a lot of, in the past, I've had older women invite me to things under the correct conditions. It was very few and far between, but now that I look back, and I appreciated it more, or I wish I realized it more in the moment, but there were a handful of times where there was like an older, more established woman, whether she was in nightlife or corporate, she would invite me to an event, but it would be an event where the men at the event would pay for the entire thing and the women don't have to pay anything. Or it would be like, I have friends that sometimes they want me to come to club openings and stuff, and they were like, oh, you can come for for free, you know, like women are free. Like in those cases, I feel like those women get it. And that's how I would operate as well. If I was a married woman and I had the whole benefits and protection and provision of a whole ass man, I would never, I'm not a scammer, okay? And I don't feel good about like taking candy from a baby or taking from the needy. I don't need to scam people who are less fortunate or who are just, you know, desperate for approval and desperate for some sort of like inclusion in a group. I don't need to scam people like that in order to make my living, okay? I have my skills, both in the real world, like in my actual profession. I'm a IT project manager. I have my bilingual skills, okay? I've held JLPT, the Japanese language proficiency test, N1, which is the hardest level, for the past 13 years. Yes, I passed it 13 years ago, okay? When I first came to Japan, I can come up with my own talking points on YouTube. I don't have to replay other people's TikToks and piggyback off their talking points. As imperfect as it is, right? Like I might not be the best orator, but everything that I put in this channel, it comes from my own brain, from my own experiences. Not only that, but I have the challenge and like the labor of interpreting it in a way that really resonates with my audience. I do all that shit by myself, okay? I can make money off of that. I don't need to make money off of scamming people or taking candy from a baby, as I call it. You know, using my influence or like dangling the carrot of validation in front of what I can tell is an impressionable young woman who's just still trying to figure out her way in this world without having people please, or who's trying to get over her imposter syndrome. I don't need to prey on people like that to make my living. So I would never be with a man who doesn't pick up the bill for me and my friend. That's literally insanity to me. I struggle finding friends who understand the full picture of why I move this way. Oh my God, are we literally twins? It's not about ego, it's the system. I will not be played by the system. Exactly. Yeah, that's happened to me as well too. Thank you for reminding me. So like I've also, I have a married couple that I'm friends with that lives in New Jersey. And like we actually, it's crazy because we only ever saw each other 3 times, but somehow we became friends by proxy through like a mutual friend. But then we just stayed in touch. And then they finally made it to Japan 2 years ago. And like I had no problem. I was so excited to meet up with them because I know that like her husband picks up the bill for everything, right? Like she was never going to invite me out and then have me split 3 ways. Of course, I offered to be polite and then like I brought them a gift and everything. But, you know, I knew that if they invited me somewhere, it was implied that, of course, her husband is going to pick up the bill. So like, yeah, just stay away from 50-50 women, guys. It's not like, I'm not joking. It's not a light matter, okay? It's literally a matter of life and death. They're literally taking advantage of your resources and your life force, okay? They're taking money from you at the end of the day every time that they try to plan an activity with you. So the most egregious thing is when women try to invite me to events that have like exorbitant entry fees. A lot of women from the beauty pageant did this to me after the contest was over, which again, like that tells me, to me, that's a rookie move. It's not like I'm offended or anything. It's more like I'm looking at you like, really? You still don't have a modicum of tact? Like, wow, you really thought? But the thing is, like, they get away with it though, right? Because a lot of women, they will fall for it. They're so desperate for like acceptance and, you know, a friend group or a community. It's sad to me. Like they think that, oh my God, she's being so nice to me. Like she's inviting me to this event. Yeah, she's holding out her hand so that you can give her 5,000 yen. That's 5,000 yen more in her pocket. She's trying to make money off you. She's not going to be your friend, you know? But let me show you the invites that I got to like random events. Wait, actually, I can't show you because I didn't even open their messages. As soon as I saw the preview of the notification pop up on my phone, I already knew what it was. I don't even have to read past like 2 to 3 lines to see, oh, okay, she's trying to like sell. You're not trying to be my friend. You're not here for my best interest. You're just trying to recruit me for your little group, or you just see me as a wallet, right? Actually, so the other day, this reminds me too, the kimono sensei, I noticed she unfollowed me on both of her accounts on Instagram. So I was like, really, bitch? So I unfollowed right back, of course. But I'm like, wow, at least most people would just like leave it, you know, because this is a woman that extracted thousands and thousands of dollars cumulatively. Why can't I say that word? This woman's sole purpose in the beauty pageant organization was to extract as much money as possible from all the contestants by playing on, you know, their desire to win and their need for validation, you know, like their need to be seen as beautiful and to be recognized for their beauty on some sort of stage. And it's like, you couldn't at least have the courtesy to just leave me as a contact, but not like my stories or my posts or anything. Like you had to unfollow me because I didn't go to that kimono event, right? Which fuck no, of course I'm not going to that shit. It was like $400 or something that they were trying to charge for a ticket. And she also tried to like invite me to some of her random stage performances later on. And I left her on red because you're not my fucking senpai. Like, I don't know you from a bag of potatoes. I only knew you for this brief moment during this whole pageant fiasco over the course of a year. Like, you're not my senpai. I don't owe you anything. And she's married to a successful businessman. Like, basically, she's rich. Her husband is rich. So, like, get the fuck out of here. You want me to fund your little stage activities? If you really were hot shit, if you really were as talented as you claim to be, or as passionate as you claim to be about your craft, why to prey on young women in this beauty pageant who are already stretched thin financially with everything that it takes to participate in the pageant, right? Like even just the dress and the makeup alone, not to mention the overpriced walking lessons cost an arm and a leg. And on top of that, you're trying to extract more money from us? Be gone. The world is priced for couples. A single woman paying puts her at a disadvantage. Yeah. Oh, but let me show you. Okay, so like this girl, again, this is nothing personal, okay? I don't hate anyone, but like she tried to invite me to this women's networking event, right? I don't know if you can see that. It's like, I think it's blurry. This is a private evening, a gathering by invitation only. No speeches, no noise, only true connections. April 29th, elegant/Eastern chic, limited to 16 guests by invitation only. And like, notice how this girl is so sneaky. They didn't even put a price on this flyer. If I was an insecure, desperate girl that's desperate for validation and belonging, I would have probably responded to this, and then she would have hit me with the, oh wait, no. Okay, there's another page. Sorry, I missed with the price. You see that? Anyone here read kanji? 26,000 yen for the A seat, and then 18,000 yen. Sorry, this is like, oh my God, it's mirror imaged. My brain cannot. 18,000 yen for B seat. So you basically just came up to me like a beggar on the street, asking me for 26,000 yen.
If it was up to me, you motherfuckers stop coming up to me with your hands out, looking up to me like you want something free. When my last CD was out, you wasn't bumping me.
And we've never hung out once outside of the pageant. You've never asked me. You don't know the first thing about me. You don't know anything about my life. You don't know the fact that I lost my dad 2 years ago. Again, it's not personal. I don't have anything personal against her. She probably sent this out to everyone in the organization. But this is the type of speed that a lot of these women are on in these women's networking circles, okay? The women's empowerment circles. Like, I'm telling you, sharks in the water, steer clear. If you're gonna go out there and mingle and try to make something happen, you know, like try to improve your social situation, you might as well just go straight to the source of the money, which is the men. That's why I only go to events that are going to be majority men. I try to make it so that they're majority men, but even if it's like a co-ed situation, I still make sure that I pick, the right club, a membership club that I know the fees are high. So it's probably like, if it's a membership club, typically most of the fees are being paid by the men, and then their wives are either guests or their membership's also being comped by the husband. You see what I mean? Like, you might as well just go straight to the source of the money. If you try to go to the woman, she's not going to give up any of her cash cow. She'll pretend like she wants to be friends with you, but at the end of the day, she becomes just like another arm of the octopus that is her husband, right? There's like, he has 8 tentacles or whatever, however many streams of income. A lot of times the wives of those high net worth men, if they don't have, even if they do have a career for themselves, oftentimes, like when you're married, your assets are combined. The wife just becomes like another stream of income in a way for the man. We are so aligned. I'm so impressed by your ability to see through these tactics people use to take advantage of vulnerable women. It reminds me of how most MLMs are women's companies funded by men. Yeah, most women's companies are funded by men, okay? Because most of the wealth in the world belongs to men still. Just statistics, you know? The whole lean in girl boss propaganda is funded by men. Studying Venus, I don't know if you had a chance to look through my membership history, but I made a video actually about a girl in my circle. I don't want to say too much, like in case she's watching, because I know these bitches be spying on me. Not hate watching, actually they're admiring me, but then they don't want to acknowledge me, so they don't want to, let it be known that they're watching me. But I know what they're up to, so I don't want to say too much, but I made a video about someone that was in my circle that literally tried to prey on me after this was right off the heels of my dad dying. Not that I disclosed anything explicitly to her, but I think like she probably had the thought that, oh, Ren is probably gonna come into some form of an inheritance soon because her dad just died. So I think like she was literally aiming for my inheritance from my dad by trying to recruit me to be part of her little coaching scheme. So yeah, she's still in that circle, you know, like I thwarted it. I always evade these things before they escalate because I can see from a mile away, I can see like 10 steps ahead of all these girls. So that's actually one of the core tenets of Art of War, by the way, that the best war strategy is not like an actual, you know, play-by-play attack strategy. It's if you're able to prevent the conflict before it even has a chance to happen, if you're able to dissipate, you know, all the energies before they even have a chance to clash, that makes you a true master in the Art of War. So that's what we are trying to do over here. Okay. I knew I was aligned with your channel when you saw through Wizard Liz. So many people defending her. It was good to see someone who saw through it all. Listen, I don't know about that girl because, again, like I genuinely don't watch these people. I'm very, very picky, very strict with what I let in my vibration. But Wizard Liz, I have no hate towards her, you know. I mean, I did hear, okay, I don't know if you guys heard the recent reports that like apparently she was chasing Landon around with a knife. First of all, I knew that they were living together and that they were never going to separate and all of that. I knew that she was like lying out of her ass online. Her entire career online has been a lie. But when I saw that report that she was like chasing him around with a knife, I was like, oh, we have a deeper issue here than just another grifter online. Like that's psychotic behavior. If the roles were reversed, if it was a man, if it was Landon chasing her around with a knife, there would be a police investigation underway as we speak. Why is this just casual information that's out there and nothing is happening? Her and Sadia Khan are cut from the same cloth. Like very, very dangerous women, very insecure, extremely caught up in their own ego, which your ego will be the downfall of you. Like, trust me, I'm not just talking out of my ass or out of theory, okay? I'm talking because I went through this myself, okay? I know because I struggled and I cried. I know because I almost fucking died. I've been through it all. I have been, you know, I thought that I was the exception. I never like helped a man cheat on his girlfriend or anything like that. But like, I thought that I was the exception. Okay. I thought, yeah, I'm so cute and I'm the best and he's under my thumb. No, you never know. You can never guarantee that a man's gonna leave. He can leave for any reason at any whim when the wind blows in the opposite direction, you know, like in Mary Poppins, poof, they leave. And that was a very painful dark night of the soul type lesson. But you know what? I'm so happy I came out the other end because it made me realize that, oh, actually my worth is not tied at all to what a man thinks of me, if he thinks I'm worthy or like if he wants to stick around for me. And the same thing goes for female friendships as well, right? Like if a best friend, I had an ex-best friend of 10 years that was clearly waiting for an excuse to unblock me or to unfollow me on everything. Like she was clearly planning this for a while, except she just didn't have the balls to end the friendship herself. So she pulled a classic move of a man actually by just like waiting around for the moment that I slipped up a little bit, just because like we were both in, she knew that we were both under a lot of duress in just our personal lives at that time. So of course it was inevitable that I was going to be imperfect at some moment. And she took that moment to like, you know, unfollow me on everything and kind of shift the blame onto me. Like, oh, I don't think I can be friends with you anymore. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Keep telling that to yourself, but you'll never be satisfied because deep down, you know that you're a coward and you stand for nothing. And that's why you don't even like your audience. Okay. So anyway, ooh, I'm spicy today. Why am I so energized? Agreed. It's no hate, but she was not practicing what she preached and was selling advice to women she doesn't even live by. Okay, so Wizard Liz, in a nutshell, I don't have any definitive proof, but I've been on this earth for 36 years. I'm just gonna call a spade. I know an escorter when I see one. Okay, I know a Dubai escort when I see one. Her look is like textbook escort, you know, which is fine. I'm not judging. I'm sure she did have a millionaire or billionaire boyfriend, whatever her story was, whether it was her sugar daddy or her boyfriend. Okay, girl, get it. Yes, that's what I'm all for. But the problem comes when you try to pass that off as your own merit. Again, this just ties back into the whole thing about why women's networking events and women's empowerment is a scam, because most of the women, if you dig deep enough into their history, their startup money actually came from a man originally, and they'll never disclose that. You know, like, at least the ones that are trying to operate in a little bit of integrity, I don't blame them for, you know, trying to control their image. Of course, it's brutal out here, as I detailed in my beauty economics video. Like, it's a zero-sum game under patriarchy. There's no way to really win, because, like, at the end of the day, we are prey under patriarchy. So our first instinct, our first order of business and highest priority in life is to protect ourselves, right? No matter how much we may want to break out of the cage and help other women and be a girl's girl, the system necessitates that we help ourselves and benefit ourselves first, because like, it comes at a cost to us, you know, in order to help another woman. That's just the way it's set up. That's why I say that I think a more optimal strategy is to just focus on yourself for as long as you need to, as hard as you need to, like 100% go in on advancing your own position to the point where you at least have a relative amount of freedom and you're at a level where you feel comfortable that, okay, now I'm in a position where I'm safe enough because I have my own, you know, I built up my savings, I built up my FU money, or I have a provider husband, whatever it may be. I feel like you cannot truly be altruistic. I feel like you cannot truly come from a pure place of helping other women until you reach that point, right? Like, if you try to do both at the same time, which is what a lot of these coaches do, you inevitably end up hurting other women who are coming to you for help in the process. Because it's like you're trying to build yourself up at the same time as helping other people. It doesn't work like that, especially under patriarchy, okay? Because what's going to happen is that you eventually, like, you end up having to take from women who are worse off, who are more vulnerable than you, to prop yourself up. And to me, that's just morally wrong. And I guess for them, it's not. So good for them that they can sleep at night, but I can't sleep with myself at night if I were to engineer my come up that way off of the backs of other women, especially ones that look up to me, you know? Like, I could never forgive myself. I never watched Liz because what I saw made it clear she wasn't healed or unplugged from misogyny yet. Hopefully, as she gets older, she gets to that place. Sometimes we have to experience the okie doke. Yeah, I just wish that it didn't involve a child, you know? Anyway, but Liz was 100% doing S work in Dubai. Like, let's not, which is fine, right? But the thing is, like, that's a huge morally depraved place to be, in my opinion, to occupy one quadrant, right? So she was in like the S worker unapologetic quadrant and like conventionally beautiful. What was it? Number 4. I should have my matrix somewhere. Oh, it's down here. So this was where she actually was, right? Beautiful and unapologetic. Quadrant 4. She wanted to be here. Quadrant 1. But she wanted to move here without actually having to do the sacrifice necessary to actually occupy this quadrant, which ends up in a lot of collateral damage, especially since her subscriber base is so young. But anyway, this live is not about Wizard Liz. So what else did I want to say? I love this chart. Like the stream for the chart. I need to like refine this and copyright it or something. People try to argue with me about this. They're like, oh, you put Megan Fox in number 1 and I think that she's in number 4. I'm like, did you watch the entire video? Because I'm convinced that like none of you actually watched the video. I literally explained that women can move between quadrants at different points in their lives, and there's like other factors that come into play, like nostalgia and whatever. Like Megan Fox, yes, maybe at the height of her career she was here, but maybe not, because she was still an actress at the end of the day. So it's not like she was a porn star or an S worker. She wasn't like in a taboo industry. She was still doing it the proper way through Hollywood. So yeah, like people trying to push back on my points. I'm like, listen, it's not that I can't take criticism or that I'm not open to new interpretations, but you have to come like with a certain level of critical thinking, okay? Or else if you don't give me anything to work with, there's no discussion to be had. The no nuance Nellies are always going to try to nitpick. And then her coming to us to try and sell how to get a provider man. And then she was like 24. I never saw how she got millions of followers. I was like, do people not see this? Yeah. Well, I mean, like a house of cards is always going to fall down eventually. So if you build your foundation on a house of cards or a house of straw, it's only a matter of time before it comes crashing down. And you're also going to injure not only yourself, but the people in the periphery. So that's what we're not going to do on this channel. I'm hell or high water. That's what I'm never going to do. Okay. Even if something happens to where, I don't know, like I get canceled and I have to go underground, I only have like 10 remaining followers or members in my group in some Patreon spin-off, then fine, I'll accept it. You know why? Because I actually have skills in the real world that I can still parlay into a real career, a day job. I want as much as the next person to be free of this rat race, but it's not worth it if it comes at the cost of your soul. Anyway, so yeah, no, that was my very, very long answer to whoever asked the original question. No, I don't think it's fruitful at all to network with women, unless the only situation in which it works is if it's a very, very old granny type. You know, she's already in her twilight years. She already is retired. Preferably her husband is dead, right? So she has his inheritance and everything at her disposal. But usually those women already know, like, they already have a plan on how to distribute the rest of their wealth before they leave this earth. But yeah, like once in a while. So case in point, the older woman that I met at the Foreign Correspondence Club reception with the Princess of Japan, I could tell, was like, I don't know, I can't speak to how much you could get from a woman like that, but at the very least, it's not going to harm you. A woman nearing the end of her life who's already lived through it all and made all her money and benefited from her husband, she has no incentive to, you know, extract money or resources from you. So that's why this year, for some reason, I went insane and in turbo mode and just decided to live stream. And I really took a page out of Shira's book this year. And I feel like, yeah, that was the right way to go. It feels good in my body. It's actually a very, very simple way to test or discern what's right for you, what's not the best idea, or like what would serve you, what would not. So I hear a lot of younger women, or just women in general these days, being confused about how to tap into their intuition. Like, you hear everything about a woman's instinct or a woman's intuition, that we can just feel in our gut when something's wrong or if something's off, right? And like, we feel it in our gut before our brain catches up to be able to intellectualize or articulate what's wrong with the situation. I always tell girls who are struggling with this that my intuition is very sharp and clear. I have no problem hearing my intuition because I'm centered around myself, right? Like, I'm self-validating. I don't rely on the outside world. I don't attach my value or my worth as a human. I don't attach, a confirmation of whether I'm beautiful or desirable or not to other people. I'm a warm-blooded animal. And like, of course, everyone has their triggers. Like, sometimes I'll have my moments, but at the core, and I've been working on this actively too through my inner work for the past several years, I'm very, very like self-regulating in that sense. And like most women who are truly confident, they are at that place. And that's what allows me to listen to or hear my intuition clearly. It's because I am operating from a place of self-love and self-preservation. Women who are still under good girl programming, women who are still brainwashed by the patriarchy, they are not operating from a stance of self-preservation. They're operating from a stance of people-pleasing or being a pick-me, right? Like trying to get validation from a man. That's why your judgment is clouded and you feel like there's a block, or maybe you're just numb and you can't sense the red flags. And that's why, like, to women like me and Seti and Venus, who we've already done the inner work and we've gotten to this place of like true, genuine self-confidence and a very solid self-concept, it looks crazy to us when we see like other women out there in the world getting scammed or, missing the red flags when they're dealing with a man, like missing the abusive red flags or whatever. It's crazy to us because to us, it sounds like a siren at, 100 decibels blaring in our ear. But I have to remember sometimes, I have to remind myself that, like most women are still very, very much operating under the brainwashing of the patriarchy. Sorry, Maxine is peeing right now. Let me break. Hold on. Want to say hi to Maxine? I raised this cat since I was 3 days old. No, since she was 3 days old. And she has very, very limited vision. She can sense, like, I think she can see brightness. She'll squint when I shine a light in her eyes or something. But yeah, for the most part, she's blind to like objects and stuff in front of her. So I never potty trained her. Like, I never trained her with a litter. I just used pet pads. But like, she still has all the normal instincts of a regular cat. Like she'll try to cover up her pee and poop and stuff. I've been thinking for the past year or so that maybe I should try to get her a litter, because like sometimes she'll miss and pee a little bit on the floor and it's a whole ordeal and I have to clean it up. Okay. Say bye, Maxine. Bye, Maxine. So cute. Look at her face when she sleeps. I like cats a lot, but I have a dog. She's adorable. It's my baby. See, we have kids to take care of. Like, how dare you come to me with your hand out? And again, the reason why I'm saying this is not because I hate married women. It's not because I'm bitter, okay? It's because, you know, it would be fine if they gave back to single women equally, the way that we give to them, right? So for example, like again, my married friends who came to visit Japan last year and they invited me out to dinner, I felt like, okay, I'm taking time out of my schedule to meet up with them and to show them around some of the hot spots, some of the nightlife in Shibuya, right? Like they just wanted to catch up with me first, but they also, like, we went to Don Quixote and a bunch of places afterwards. It was, you know, it's fun to go with like a local, so to speak. I consider myself a local. I earned that right after dealing with the bullshit of this country for the past 13 years. But yeah, and like for them, like they already knew implicitly that the husband is going to pay anyway for all of us. So I feel like that's a fair exchange, right? Like I definitely have no problem respecting and mingling with, fraternizing with people like that who understand. But the ones that don't get it, or that are just, to me, they're just selfish, because I feel like there's no possible way that you don't understand. If I, or when I get married, or when I get into, you know, a relationship with a provider, like I immediately know the power imbalance that is there between me and like another girl who's just single and trying to hack it by herself out in this world that's made for a man. Like I immediately feel that, and I feel the weight and the responsibility of that, right? Not to say that, like, you know, I don't feel it necessary for me to finance her life or anything, but if I have a man who's a provider and he's making my life comfortable and easier, or at least he's taking care of the basics so that I have, I'm freed up to go after my actual passion in life, then I know that obviously I'm in a more privileged position than, say, like a younger 20-something-year-old girl who's single and who's like working a job that is underpaying her. And like I would never do anything that would require her to put in a significant chunk of her resources. It's just gross to me. Like I had a friend in Dubai that I would meet up with sometimes. I think she kind of stopped like replying to my messages after the Iran bombing situation. Like I kind of messaged her to ask if she was okay, and then she just hearted my message. So I don't know, maybe she's going through something, but she's like 28. I think she's 30 by now, but she was 28 when I met her, and I was like in my 30s already. So, and like I knew that she was kind of struggling because it was her first year doing real estate in Dubai. She used to be in the finance industry before that, but then she switched careers for whatever reason. And I don't know if you guys know, but like real estate is a really, really notoriously hard industry to break into, especially in a place like Dubai. Most people don't get their first deal. Like if you're a rookie, which she was a newbie to that industry, it takes at least like 8 months. You know, you're lucky if you get your first deal or your first sale in 8 months, because you have to get past that stigma of being fresh and new and not having any successes under your belt to show your potential new clients. So yeah, like I knew she was struggling, but like I wanted to meet up with her, but I was very mindful of, like, first of all, I treated her to, you know, a drink, but I was also very mindful to not suggest that we go to some super upscale restaurant where it would be at least $300 a head. You know, I'm like, of course, I'm not going to do that knowing your situation. And of course, like as the older sister, I'm going to pay for your drink. And I showered her with makeup and stuff from Japan too. So not everyone's like me, right? Not everyone is like us. And that's the sad truth that you need to realize and come to terms with. And don't give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, why would you give people the benefit of the doubt when they already show you how they move? Many times women partnered with males will expect single women to fill in the gaps for the males' lack. Yes, exactly. It's ridiculous. I've heard of women asking for rides and money, but they are partnered. I don't get it. Yeah, like that other girl, the crazy one that kind of like tried to attack me after she saw me talking shit about her in my lives. I wasn't talking shit about her. I was just reporting the truth of what she was doing, which was talking shit about other contestants and accusing other contestants of being prostitutes or whatever to fund their beauty pageant activities. But like, she used to ask me to, this is the thing, right? She knows where I live. She knows that I live in Chofu, that it's kind of like far away from Tokyo City Center. The thing is that like sometimes the organization would throw events in Ikebukuro, which is where their headquarters is. So they would throw like random, group lessons or whatever at a studio in Ikebukuro. And like, since I was there already, a lot of the times I would just like go out to dinner with a group of the girls after the lesson was over. But then like on our way home, she would always suggest to me, she would be like, oh, if you're planning on practicing for the pageant, like we should rent a studio together so that we can split costs, split the fee. And I was like, first of all, don't you have a boyfriend? Like, why is your boyfriend there if he's not paying? Like, why do you have to ask me to split a studio fee with you? I would rather go pay for a studio full price by myself. I would rather do that than to pay for half a studio fee, even though it would come out as cheaper to me. The fact that that would help you out with your load because your man is not stepping up properly to pay for whatever you need for the pageant, like that alone, that makes the whole thing not worth it to me. In that case, it's more worth it for me to pay the full price for a studio. And second of all, you know that I don't even live here, right? Like, why would I go out of my way? Because she lived close to that area. I don't think she lives in Ikebukuro, but she lived like very close, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes away. But I live an hour away. So I just felt like, I don't know. At the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter whether or not they're aware or they're not. If you're not aware, I feel like it's even worse, because how is your EQ so low that you can't even like take into consideration other people's situations? I just don't feel comfortable taking from a woman knowing they aren't getting value in return. I really wish we didn't live in a world where money is a factor in friendships, but it is. Exactly. You echoed my sentiments perfectly. Pretending it's not a privilege that usually hurts the women who are single. It has to be an equal exchange or the friendship will suffer. Exactly. I used to have a married friend too. Used to, because like none of them are my friends anymore, because I don't hang out with them anymore, because I'm not gonna sit around and myself be taken advantage of. No thanks. I'm not desperate. I don't need your validation. I don't need your friendship. I would like it, like I don't hate you or anything, but if you can't get with a program from day one, it's very awkward for me. I'm not gonna like sit there and explain and teach you, and then now you have an excuse to say that I'm stingy or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna give you that excuse either. So I guess we're just not on the same wavelength, or we're not on the same page. But like, I used to have a married friend from one of my previous jobs that we would go out for lunch sometimes, but then she would invite me to her house sometimes so that we could do like barbecue from the comfort of her home. And like in those instances, of course she never asked me to pay. So I thought it was okay. But then ultimately I still decided that I was getting the short end of the stick, because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm still making an effort and I'm taking time out of my day to get to your house. That's still more convenient for you. And also the fact that like it would be, usually it would be on a day when her husband was on a business trip out of town or something, and she would be like home with her kids. This was still during the era of COVID, where they were doing the remote schooling. So I'm like, okay, so I mean, you're not using me as a babysitter necessarily because you're here, but like, I don't necessarily want to hang out with you and your kids. Lovely kids, very cute, but that's not what I signed up for, that's not what I'm looking for from a friendship. So yeah, eventually that we lost touch as well. It's no hard feelings, it's no bitter feelings, but I'm just not going to, I'm always going to put myself first, especially in this stage of my life. So, okay, that brings me to my last point. Sorry, I have to say this before I forget. So again, this is just my own opinion that I have come to after careful real world experimentation and trial and error, and just my own lived experiences with the aforementioned, all the different types of women that I've encountered throughout the years, whether they be married, coworkers, or like ladies of the night, my friends in the nightlife industry, etc., etc. A lot of girls are just in 50-50 relationships with men, and I can't be friends with them either, because it's just like fundamentally it goes against everything that I believe in. And I refuse to let even let yen from my wallet trickle down to a dusty. That's really what it comes down to. So at the end of the day, I had to basically come to the conclusion, and I'm not saying that I like this, but it just is what it is. And it's nothing new that Shira hasn't been shouting from the rooftops to us since the beginning of time. But I feel like the most optimal strategy, okay, if you can find a good situation that you are comfortable with, obviously, don't ever compromise your standards or what you want out of a relationship. But I do feel like, and I've seen the light, that the best and most advantageous situation for a woman in our current society under this patriarchal model is to basically get married to a man, you know, make sure that he's a provider. How much providing you want him to do is up to you. That's your own personal standard, but definitely make sure that he's taking care of the basics like rent and food and groceries, all of that. Get with a man, get with under the covering of a man, you know, don't compromise your values, of course. So try to find one that, you know, you feel like he's a decent person and that you can trust him reasonably, and then like follow your dreams or your passion from there. That way you can chase your purpose, you can chase your own sovereignty without hurting other women in the process, because you, at the end of the day, you have your man as your main base, okay, to fall back on. That's what I believe is the ideal scenario. Because the alternative, I mean, it's noble if you want to go the alternative and accumulate all your wealth and all your success just by yourself alone, solo as a woman. But I mean, like, you know, good luck with that, okay? How many Rihannas and Oprahs of the world exist? Those women, the women that are truly like self-made, they got to the top without a long-term situation with a single man, with like one single man throughout their career, they typically end up not marrying. If they make all of their millions, if they become like a billionaire of their own accord as a woman, and of course, like they might be using investments from various men along the way, along their climb to the top. But if they get there and they're not married by the point that they reach that like financially secure, wealthy status, then those women are likely never going to marry, right? It's very, very hard for them to find a man that is like even more successful than them at that point. So most women, your best bet is to, you should treat it as a full-time job to, continue to always work towards your own financial independence and freedom. Like I said before, take advantage of your youth, okay? Take advantage of your years where you have the most energy and that you can, you have the stamina to stomach all the extra work, pick up all the extra shifts and the extra streams of income that you can, while simultaneously leveling yourself up and making yourself as appealing as possible to the type of man that you would ideally want to end up with. I think that's the best strategy and the most realistic one, you know, if you want to even have a shot in hell at not being burned at the stake in one of these quadrants. Oh, I missed a lot. Sorry. Can you talk more about being strategic? Okay, yeah, I think I think I covered that with my rant. Many times women partnered with males will, oh wait, no, I read that already. I just don't feel comfortable taking from a woman, knowing they aren't getting money or value in return. Pretending it's not a privilege usually hurts the women who are single. Yep. Sorry, I read those already. It has to be equal because of how patriarchy works. A single woman helping a woman due to a dusty man's lack is out of order. Yep. All the power and access they have to still get a woman's assistance by proxy is crazy. I know, right? This is why I can't be friends with 50-50 mindset women. It doesn't work. Your man's problems should not become our problem. No, it is not. I don't feel good when dusty male issues are dominating my thoughts. I way prefer a single friend, over a woman in a toxic relationship. I care about women's issues and lives. I care about my friend, not her man. Yeah, and I care about me over her man. Most importantly, I don't know your man from a sack of bricks. I feel like I'm getting that saying wrong. What is the saying? I don't know you from a can of paint. But yeah, I think for like the vast majority of women, actually not even the vast majority. See, this is the depressing part because the vast majority of women settle for Dusties or 50-50 guys. So that's why I'm saying like, it really is that serious. You need to treat it like your full-time job. If you're still single, you know, and you're supporting yourself, there should only be two things at the forefront of your mind and taking precedence in your everyday life. It's to make more money for yourself and to retain the money that you make. Don't let any of these scammers and grifters out here trick you into handing your money over to them, which you will build an immunity to once you solidify your self-concept and train yourself out of needing outside validation to feel valid or to feel worthy. And if you are so inclined to want to be in a relationship or experience a relationship with a man, which most women do, okay, so don't come in here with the 4B nonsense, because if you were really 4B, there would really be no point or no use in you engaging with this kind of content online, really. I mean, if you're 4B, you should be done with this whole discussion already, no? Like, shouldn't you just be out there, okay, putting your nose to the grindstone and it's just you against the world and you're taking care of yourself? That's what I imagine 4B to be, right? Like you're taking, you understand the reality of the situation. You made a conscious decision to not partner with a man or engage with them at all. So now from there on out, it's just a matter of either, like building up your own wealth. And okay, if you're into social media or whatever, that's fine. But like, why do you have to make a channel about men, the very subject that you swore that you would excommunicate completely from your life? Why wouldn't you just make a channel about your hobby or something? But anyway, I go as far as to like, I don't even support, this is really sad, right? Because like, okay, I'm conflicted. Well, I'm not, because I mean, in a lot of ways, I already made my choice. If you just look at my purchasing decisions, you'll know what my ultimate choice was. But I don't even support, like, I refuse to support women's businesses when I know that they're married or they have a dusty boyfriend in the wings somewhere. I only feel 100% comfortable and good about supporting single women's businesses. Because that way I know, like, even if she got her startup money from a sugar daddy or whatever, that I approve of that. Okay, I like that. Because you're supposed to take the startup money from a man in the first place. And like in Shira's case now, she's a widow. But even before she was a widow, like you said before, Study in Venus, she never made any courses. She never tried to extort us with coaching fees and things like that. She just like turns on the camera and does her live stream. That's her bit. She knows that that's the value she brings to the table. And she didn't let any of these like other temptations try to lure her off her path, which would have resulted in injuring or hurting the very women that she was trying to help. I think Shira understood that very deeply and very well from day one. So yeah, I really appreciate her for that. Of course, I don't agree with every single talking point of hers, but the way that she operates, she 100% has like my respect and my support forever. The only thing that Shira ever did, and I'm sorry, but I must bring it up since we're on the topic. I write for Dawn at Shira still, but the only thing that kind of made me raise my eyebrow a little bit is when she was doing lives with that Russell Hartley guy. I don't think she collabs with him anymore. So whatever, it's fine. But there was a period of time where she would always be doing collabs with him on her channel. And he is known to be like a grifter, essentially. People dug up his older content in which he had more red pill talking points, and then he switched over to like the man bashing, the sprinkle content when he saw that side of the internet would give him more clout. And then Shira invited him and shared her platform with him several times. And I was a little bit disappointed in that, I'm not gonna lie. Although, I mean, I think she just treated him as entertainment at the end of the day. Also, he would give her like $100 super chats, $100 at a time, so I guess I can't blame her. But he was also, I feel like she didn't need that, right? Because he was also like a young guy, so already he was more opportunistic than an old guy, because she's had older like spiritual teacher type of guys on her channel. That's fine, I don't have a problem with that. But Russell Hartley was still in his early 30s, so that he was still like on his grind and trying to accumulate his own wealth. And I was just kind of disappointed that Shira decided to help him give a leg up in that respect. I felt like it was slightly hypocritical, but again, no one's perfect, and she doesn't collab with him anymore, so it's water under the bridge. And like, of course, I don't know if I want to go this far, but like I blame her for bringing on her direct competitors in a sense. Like the fact that I'm sure that it was a conscious decision and choice on her part to not collaborate with other women content creators. But like, to be fair, a lot of those women were a bunch of snakes and swagger jackers that were trying to just capitalize off of, you know, their association with her. So I understand. No, we love Shira in this house, though. I hope she's okay. I hear that she recently moved into her new mansion, so hopefully she's getting situated. And I hope her daughters are doing okay. I guess it's been a while since James actually passed, since she delayed the announcement on social media. But I think it turns out that he actually passed way earlier in this year, like maybe January or February. I completely agree. Support other women with men's money, not mine. And I want all women to do the same. Don't support me with your money. If you don't have access to provision, only focus on yourself. Exactly. And I'm like, that's what I want for my subscribers, you know? Like, as much as it would benefit me to just play on your insecurities and pretend to be your bestie so that like more of you will sign up for my membership. I stopped promoting my membership because I realized that I was spilling a little too much tea in there, and I was like, hold on, maybe you don't want to make this maybe you don't want to promote this because there's crazy people out there that might like join just to get dirt on you, because it's not expensive. You know, I purposely set it at a very affordable price. I'm not trying to like make my entire living off of memberships. I wouldn't want to build a legacy off of that. Even if it, like, let's say I branded myself as one of these lifestyle aspirational coaches and I was able to, you know, charge $100 an hour for a consultation and surpass the income that I'm making at my day job right now. Yeah, maybe that would make me a millionaire, but I would never. It's a spiritual misalignment thing. Like, the money is just a byproduct. It has nothing to do with the money. Like, if you make the money, but you're not actually proud of how you got there deep down, it's going to show. The cracks are going to form at some point. You know, you might be able to delay it for a couple years or even a couple decades, but at some point, like, that's going to show in your face. I truly believe that, the ugly shit that you do, or like the ugly character traits that you indulge and you feed into, instead of trying to like actively, you know, work through them or alchemize them to bring at least something more productive and positive into the world. Because like we're human, so of course we're gonna have dark sides and negative traits. I'm not saying that like you should be ashamed of that, but if you know that you have like a certain bad tendency or like a certain scamming tendency, the way that I see a lot of these coaches, if you know it but you still actively choose to not do anything about it, or you choose to utilize it in like the lowest vibrational way, it's gonna bite you in the ass at some point or another. AKA, you're a genuine person. Yes, I am. Even when it comes to, you know, my flaws and everything, like, at least I'm just honest about it. I have nothing to hide, you know, so I don't have to like sit up here and put up an artifice about how my life is perfect. It's not. I was literally like crying at the beginning of this video because I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what the word is. I think burnout is the right word. I'm very burnt out. I'm too smart, right? Like, I see too clearly how the system is designed to keep us down and always put more and more barriers in our paths. And so that's why it frustrates me. Like, no matter how much, okay, I'm doing fine, but you can't pull the wool over my eyes. Like, you're not going to convince me that I should just be thankful for this, or just, you know, be thankful for the scraps that you throw at me. No, women should not have to live like this. The world is inherently abundant. Mother Nature is abundant and inherently provides for everyone, every living being on this planet. It's patriarchy and capitalism that like put everything behind a paywall and forced us all into wage slavery. And it's just like, it's a very heavy, you know, psychological burden to carry around once you see the light. But of course, just don't succumb. Like, don't identify with the feeling of helplessness. Always go back to your resourcefulness, go back to your natural creative essence as a woman, and trust in yourself to figure a way out of everything. But yeah, don't support women that are like married or having secretly paying for their dusty boyfriends or their dusty husbands on the side. That's why I don't even support, and like, I hate to say this, you know, it's not that I don't want to support them, but female-led brands, like, for example, Jackie Aina, right? I know that her husband is a dusty to the point where she didn't even announce their wedding on her social media. So I'm not going to support I'm not going to buy something like an overpriced candle from your brand so that a percentage of that can trickle down back to your husband, freaking Dennis. And this is why, oh my God, this one really breaks my heart, but I don't even like to buy things from Fenty Beauty by Rihanna because ASAP Rocky is such a dusty, and I'm so disappointed that she ended up with him. I mean, I know why. Okay, I have empathy for why she would choose someone like that. I think she used to date Hassan Jamil, I think was his name. He was a Saudi billionaire. And I knew that relationship was never going to last, largely due to the cultural differences. But they were together for a hot minute, though. I mean, I'm just still hurt at the false hope that she gave me. But eventually they broke up, right? And then she decided, I guess she thought, okay, if I don't have children now, I'm going to miss my window. So she just defaulted to Rocky, who was the safest and most comfortable option. And the fact that, he's much less powerful than her and has a lower net worth, so she can control him in some respect. But yeah, after I realized that Rihanna at the end of the day is supporting a Dusty too, although she never married him. So at least, I'm going to give her credit for that. She's still a very smart woman at the end of the day. So she's deliberately protecting her assets by not legally binding herself to such a man. But, at the end of the day, I just can't, if I whenever I go to a Fenty counter and I swatch something, every time I get the urge to buy something from Fenty, I just cannot get the image out of my head that my dollar that I'm handing over to the cashier is going to trickle down to ASAP Rocky at some point. No, not over my dead body. Exactly. The writing on the wall scares me. I don't know. Or I know I'm still fairly middle class and unmarried. I'm at risk with the society we're living in. That's why I'm saying we got to treat this like a full-time job, it's fine. I'm right there with you. You have to put on your own air mask or face mask first before you assist someone else, right? So we need to get ourselves in a better situation first, whatever it means for you, whether it's just middle class or you're ambitious and you really want to jump social classes, or you just want to, be able to quit your soul draining corporate slave job and do something by yourself at home. Whatever your ideal scenario is, you need to map out a strategy and take steps towards manifesting it or making it come to fruition every single day.